Hey bros, Maximus Gaines here, shoving your face in the toilet and flushing it with philosophical wisdom about supplementation, nutrition, bodybuilding, weightlifting, and about 1.3 billion other things. I'm just here on the island of Delos, chilling, waiting for the Cyclops to show up. I think he's up in that cave slapboxing Hercules. But while we're waiting, I want to introduce you to a philosopher who enjoys the little pleasures in life, as well as the big ones. Some people call him an epistemologist, while there are others who call him an Epicurean, and even some call him a hedonist, but I just call him Dude. Here he is, Epicurus. What's happening, Epicurus?
Yo! What's happening, dude?
Looking pretty beefy there, guy.
Dude! I'm so big! But I can't anymore.
Whoa, is that because of the juice?
Dude, my nuts are like raisins.
Ugh. Well, don't forget to take your HCG when you come off of that stuff.
What are we talking about today, dude?
Oh, I'm going to be giving a little presentation about insulin sensitivity. So, are you smashing it up at the gym but you aren't losing any fat? Are you trying to shred up but can't get that last bit of belly fat to come off? Well, the answer may not be that you have to work harder, but instead, work smarter. You may be showing signs of insulin resistance. Now, everyone has some degree of insulin resistance, so don't freak out. They can measure it with the blood plasma test results plugged into an equation in what's called a homeostatic model assessment for insulin resistance, or HOMA-IR for short. We have an issue of semantics first, though, that I want to get out of the way, and that's the difference between the two terms insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity. Now, the two terms are closely related and often used interchangeably, but that isn't quite correct. You see, if your body is insulin resistant, then that means it has a low insulin sensitivity. And conversely, if your body is not insulin resistant, then it has a high insulin sensitivity. So a good way to remember that is that they have an inverse relationship. Low insulin resistance equals high insulin sensitivity, and high insulin sensitivity is a good thing. Let me repeat that. High insulin sensitivity is a good thing. I'm going to get into more detail about each one of those in a minute, but I want to start off by talking about what insulin is and how it works in your body. Insulin. What are ye? Insulin is the main anabolic, that's right, anabolic hormone of the body that monitors and controls carbohydrate, fat, and protein metabolism. It's mainly known for taking excess glucose in the bloodstream and storing it into the cells of the body for either immediate use or stored for energy demands later. The unused glucose is either stored in the skeletal muscle or the liver, and if both of those are filled to their maximum capacity, it's stored in the fat cells. Glycogen is also stored in very small amounts in other various cells and organs in the body.
Dude, what's making all that insulin?
As you probably know, insulin is secreted by an organ in your body called the pancreas. More specifically, it's produced by the beta cells, which are located in what is referred to as the islets of Langerhans section of the pancreas.
Yeah, me and my girl went to the islands of Langerhans for spring break. I ate barramundi with a pineapple chutney.
Nah, I think that was somewhere else. This is located in your pancreas.
Whatever, dude. I got the t-shirt to prove it.
The pancreas is located adjacent to your stomach and surrounded by the first section of the small intestine leaving the stomach, the duodenum, as seen here. Or in reality, more like this. Okay, it all comes down to the body maintaining a nominal blood glucose level, and it using the pancreas and the liver to regulate this. Epicurus calls this the blood glucose triangle, where we've got your liver here, and we've got your pancreas here, and your bloodstream here. Your body wants to maintain your fasted blood glucose level between 70 and 130 milligrams per deciliter, with the average of that being 100 milligrams per deciliter. If you want to get an idea of how much that is, it's equivalent to about 5 grams or a teaspoon of sugar. That's right, your body only wants 5 grams of sugar, So when you're drinking a soda with 45 grams of sugar or a candy bar of 50 grams of sugar, where do you think all that sugar goes? Let's talk about high blood glucose levels. After a meal, when your blood glucose is raised, the pancreas is going to release insulin into the blood, drive all of that glucose into the body's cells. Insulin also drives all of the nutrients and proteins in your blood into your cells as well, which is vitally important for you to stay nourished. Okay, what about low blood glucose levels? Now, between meals, during periods of fasting, and also exercise, when the body needs energy, the blood glucose level is going to drop below the nominal 100 milligrams per deciliter. And the pancreas is going to release a hormone called glucagon, which is going to signal the liver to put more glucose into the bloodstream. The liver does this through a process called glycogenolysis. That's converting stored glycogen to glucose, and gluconeogenesis, converting non-carbohydrate sources into glucose. This is an important process to remember for anyone looking to lose body fat, because you can only burn fat when insulin is not secreted. This deals a blow to people who eat multiple meals a day, and is a reason some of the fasting diets out there have become so popular. Anyway, let's circle back to the original question: what is insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is a condition in which the body's cells fail to respond or are resistant to reacting to the release of the hormone insulin. Okay, here's the deal with the human body cell physiology and how it works. The cells of the body have insulin receptors which allow glucose and other nutrients into the cell when they are triggered by a release of insulin. When the receptors don't sense any insulin, then they close and don't allow anything into the cell. What happens when people overeat and especially eat a lot of simple carbohydrates such as sugar, insulin is being constantly released and two things happen. The cells become non-responsive to insulin and don't allow the glucose or nutrients into the cell. It's like Epicurus' girlfriend Aphrodite keeps yammering to him all the time, and eventually he just stops listening.
Yeah, dude, I just stopped listening.
The second thing that happens is that the beta cells of the pancreas start to become damaged because they are constantly producing insulin. The elevated blood glucose is not being emptied into the cells, so the insulin keeps being produced until the blood glucose levels decrease. This eventually leads to a number of diseases, most notably diabetes, but also a number of other diseases like cancer and heart disease, because all of the systems of the body depend on each other and are interrelated. Aesthetically, you're going to look doughier, with a lot of fat pockets around your waist. Muscle size is going to decrease, as well as definition. You might look beefier, but that's just because all the fat and water surrounding the muscle. Now, this whole process happens gradually over time and is influenced by a number of factors such as genetics, how active a person is, not just diet. So as far as what insulin sensitivity is, as I said before, insulin sensitivity is just a reaction to insulin resistance and can be used to gauge it. If your body cells are highly sensitive to insulin, then you don't have insulin resistance, period. All right, let's get right to it. What are some signs and symptoms that you are insulin resistant? High blood sugar is obviously the biggest indicator. A fasted blood glucose reading of 100 to 125 milligrams per deciliter is considered pre-diabetic range, or over 125 is considered diabetic. But ask your doctor what is a high value, because these numbers are constantly changing. The second sign is high blood pressure. Now you can check this yourself with a blood pressure machine or have your doctor do it. This number keeps changing also, so I probably wouldn't put too much faith in it. I think the base for hypertension is now 130 over 80. Number 3 sign, you may have acanthosis nigricans, which is a skin condition where you develop dark skin patches at the knuckles, armpits, knees, and most prevalent on the back of the neck, as in this photo. Another sign is high triglycerides. Now, triglycerides are the fatty acids in your blood. Get a lipid panel blood test either at your doctor or wherever they offer blood testing, such as CVS, Walgreens, etc. I believe the marker for borderline high triglycerides is anything over 150 milligrams per deciliter. But again, ask your doctor. The next sign, what? What?
Dude, don't take this the wrong way, but you're funny looking.
You didn't have to say that.
It's true.
Next, you have a non-alcoholic fatty liver. and that's a fatty liver caused not by the consumption of alcohol, but through your diet. This is something that only blood tests and a doctor could diagnose, and it's difficult to even detect in that case. Another symptom of insulin resistance is an insatiable hunger and cravings for sugar and carbohydrate-rich foods. You got the munchies. And that brings us to the next symptom, is a larger waist and increased abdominal fat. Now, insulin resistance is really most noticeable by the amount of belly fat that you have. This is a key marker for it. And I don't mean just overall weight, I'm talking about particularly abdominal fat. If you really want to know for sure if you are insulin resistant, then you can get the HOMA-IR test that I previously mentioned and that has been shown to be pretty accurate. It's a pretty expensive test and I think it's pretty extreme, but it's up to you. All right, here's what you bought your ticket to hear. Ways to lower insulin levels and reverse insulin sensitivity. Boom. Diet is the most important thing. If you're overweight, then lose some weight. The less fat that you have on your body, the lower your insulin resistance is likely to be. Akin to that, limit your carbohydrate and sugar intake, but note that insulin is sensitive to both carbohydrate and protein consumed. You can do a ketogenic or Atkins diet, but be careful of your saturated fat intake because this can raise triglycerides in the blood and can contribute to insulin resistance. Saturated fat can actually be beneficial to your health in moderation, but generally get leaner cuts of meat and try to consume more unsaturated fats like avocados and nuts. If you do eat carbohydrates, then try to eat the ones with a low glycemic index. These are things like beans, whole grains, walnuts, cashews, most vegetables, and most sweet fruits like strawberries, mangoes, and peaches. I'll put a glycemic index in the link below. Try fasting diets like intermittent fasting or alternate day fasting, which have shown in some studies to reduce insulin resistance. And here's one you all know about, frequent exercise. I'm sure that most people watching this are already killing it at the gym, but if you aren't, exercise is going to help you use up excess glucose and it also increases your insulin sensitivity, which remember is good. You will notice a difference immediately, so crush it. This next one always makes the list of dotes, but don't light up. I don't know many people left who are smokers, let alone those fitness-minded people who are smashing it up in the gym. Smoking is just bad for everything. That isn't just the cigarettes, but the wacky tobacco as well. No judgments though. Here's another common one. Get adequate sleep. There have been some studies that show insulin resistance increases with a lack of sleep, so try to get at least 6 or 7 hours if you can. They say don't drink alcohol, but that's up to you. A drink or two a week for social purposes shouldn't cause a medical condition. And if it does, then stop. Eat lower insulin triggering foods as per the insulin index that is shown right here, and which I'm going to attach a link to the description of this video below. As you can see, it starts off in the low end with olive oil and butter and ends up on the high end with candy like jelly beans. Okay, so I hope that you all are a little less resistant now to the topic of insulin resistance. And I hope that you are all a little more sensitive to insulin sensitivity. Hey, those are the scientific facts with a little gym philosophy mixed in. I wouldn't freak out. Like I said, insulin resistance is a gradual process. You can still live quite a hedonistic life as long as you have your diet under control. Just ask Epicurus.
Dude, you don't know me.
Well, there you are. Did you and Hercules finish your fight club?
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Well, Epicurus and I are going to grab some Vestal Virgins and head down to the beach. You want to come with?
For sure, bro.
All right, well, that's all I've got. How about you, Epicurus? Have you got anything else to tell the viewers?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do, dude. It's not what we have, but what we enjoy that constitutes our abundance. And I enjoy a pair of raging biceps and a massive chest. So big.
You've got that right, brother. Live in abundance. And you can help me live in abundance by hitting like on this video. And if you enjoy these videos and you want to see more of them, please consider hitting the subscribe button below this video. Next to that subscribe button is a bell. Smash that bell and you'll be notified every time I release a new video. Well, that's all I've got in insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity. I hope you learned something. Now I'm off to the beach with the Virgins and the Cyclops. Maybe we'll play volleyball. Get big, get fit, get philosophical, and guess what? Now you know something.